2 months ago, the United States government began sanctioning Russia and cutting off their access to the US dollar. But what happens if China is the next target of US sanctions? Chinese regulators held an emergency meeting with domestic and foreign banks to discuss how they could protect the country's overseas assets from potential US-led sanctions. This is a concern for China as Western countries impose multiple financial sanctions on Russia, including the seizure of more than $300 billion of Russia's foreign currency reserves. Currently, China holds over $3.2 trillion in foreign reserves, but despite this large exposure to the US dollar, China is actually in a position of strength, as I'll explain in today's video. I don't believe that the United States can realistically impose Russian-like sanctions on China, and here's why. Everyone, today's video is all about currency, and I have an amazing sponsor for you. Meet the Extra Wallet, the world's slimmest and smartest wallet. With a simple click of a button, I can conveniently access all of my credit cards, and one of the most unique features is this digital tracking device that I can conveniently slip into the back of the wallet. This allows me to track my wallet anywhere in the world, and if you're as forgetful as me and are constantly using your cell phone, you can also use your wallet to now find your cell phone. As a digital creator, my life is always on the go, and I've been recently using this extra laptop sleeve to conveniently store my laptop and all the accessories with it. Father's Day is coming, and simply click on the link in my description to save 20% off your entire extra order. To better understand the importance of the United States and China's financial relationship, let's go back 14 years to when China helped bail out the United States from the world financial crisis that America created. This 2008 Wall Street Journal article highlights China was the power behind the $700 billion bailout as the US government raised money by selling US Treasury bonds to China. Fast forward to today, and China is holding over $1 trillion of US Treasury bonds and huge amounts of American real estate. For example, the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City, well, it's actually owned by Chinese government-controlled Dajia Insurance Group. Some have speculated that if China ever wanted to put pressure on the United States, it simply had to dump these Treasury bonds. However, this is unrealistic as there isn't another currency that could absorb $1 trillion US dollars. Translation, China will be holding on to these treasury bonds for a very long time into the future. Simply, the best option for China is to reduce its US dollar dependency. But notice the word I said here, reduce, not eliminate. And this is why China is producing a digital currency to be exported and used with trading partners around the world. Richard Turin, a leading expert on China's digital currency, states, having an alternative currency like the digital yuan to use in world trade would effectively break the dollar's monopoly. This is the role I think the digital yuan will have in the coming decade. While China is certainly exposed to a lot of US dollar, let's not forget how exposed the United States is to China. In this article from the Asian Times, we learned that America's trade deficit with China actually shrank the US economy during the first quarter of 2022. And this is something that we've never seen before in world history. The world's biggest economy, America, is living on the imports from its biggest declared strategic rival, China. So as politicians in Washington continue to preach that China is the greatest threat to America and that we should decouple from China, it's literally impossible for the United States to do so. Take a look at this graph that shows Chinese imports to America reached a seasonally adjusted annual rate of $675 billion. That's an increase of 60% from August 2019, when Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. Translation, the United States has never been more exposed and more dependent on China in its entire history than it is right now. Ask any business owner in America right now what their biggest problem is, and most likely their response will be finding good people. America is in desperate need of qualified workers, and this has resulted in US manufacturers being unable to meet the demands for goods inside our own country. 2 years of dealing with the pandemic has created a chronic shortage of labor, which experts predict may lead to a 2.1 million shortfall in manufacturing employment by 2030. Interesting enough, there is only one way for the United States to fill that gap, and it's simply to import more products from overseas. And where do the majority of these products from overseas come? You guessed it, China. This means that anyone still thinking the US will decouple from China is deluding themselves. Richard Turin says it best. China and the US are like the yin and the yang, forever linked to one another due to dependencies on currency and imports. And this is why for the last 2 years I've been a big advocate of finding a way for the United States and China to work together. When we see images of the COVID outbreak in Shanghai, Americans should be hoping for China to recover quickly. We need China to pull through this pandemic because the very future of the American economy depends on a strong China. However, I'm worried about the future of US-China relations. Just last week, the Financial Times broke a story that President Biden is moving toward imposing sanctions on Chinese tech group HSBC, a company who produces surveillance equipment for more than 180 countries around the world. The United States is claiming human rights violations as the reason for these sanctions, but if these sanctions go through, it would be dangerous for any company or government that deals with HSBC, as they would be at risk for violating US sanctions. However, there is a bit of irony, as the United States is a top 5 international customer for HSBC. This means the United States would effectively be sanctioning the very company that provides the United States with surveillance equipment. Moving forward, US sanctions is going to be a continuous threat that China will have to consider. China's UnionPay has seen an explosion in popularity in Russia since both Visa and MasterCard left the country. But UnionPay has been reluctant to expand, as US sanctions most likely would follow. One particular bank that is feeling this geopolitical pressure is HSBC, which is headquartered in the UK, but derives over 2/3 of its profits from Asia. China's largest insurance company, Ping An, which is the largest shareholder of HSBC, has called for the bank to be split into 2 units, essentially creating a China-friendly bank in Asia and a US-friendly bank everywhere else. The United States shouldn't be weaponizing the US dollar and threatening economic sanctions. It's better to work together, as all countries around this world are part of this global economy. Last year, General Motors sold an average of 7,945 cars to China every single day in 2021. That's 2.9 million cars, and just shows you how valuable the Chinese market is to the bottom line of many of America's largest publicly traded companies. In conclusion, China will continue to hold a large amount of US debt, and the United States will continue to import a large amount of products from China. Our politicians need smart, rational thinking about the future of the US and China relationship. Our 2 governments will always have disagreements, but both countries need each other for future success. And ultimately, this is why I feel that the United States can never truly sanction China like it has Russia. The United States economy and the future of our world is too dependent on our 2 nations coming together and finding a way to work together. And finally, a huge thank you to Extra for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you get your dad something special this Father's Day. Again, click the link in the bio to save 20% off your entire order. Everyone, my name is Cyrus Jansen. Thanks for taking time out of your day to spend it with me here on YouTube, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.